when you look at them, what are they seeing at that point, and what is their response when you finally deliver this final piece to their home or to their sitting room or to their offices? Yeah.
Well, they're always very thrilled. It is surprising, even to some of us sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes someone will order something custom, and then you make a work plan, and then you sit and you're like, is this achievable?
But it's a creativity from you.
Exactly. And then as the process goes on, there are customers who have, before the process, who ask for pictures of the process. Yeah. And then even ourselves take pictures of the process sometimes. And then sometimes you move to a certain level and you call your fellows, and then this is how it's turning out. Okay. And then there's advice. And then when the customers also come in and they look at it and they're like, is that really going to come out? And you're like, wait. And the thrill after they see it coming out, it creates a different set of attachment to this. Some customers have asked for please, can you bring it and I assemble it myself? They want to feel like they're now part of this production team, the production of this item, and they talk about it a lot of times, and it keeps them coming back to the workshop. Some of them have indulged their children into this woodworking just because of how they saw it move, and now the availability of power tools has improved a lot. Yeah. It has improved the whole process. It has made it more conducive for the customers to see and for us to work. The environments we work in are less cluttered, and that is.
So it's not woodwork as we used to know back in the days, where the guy would be, with a nail banging things and trying to turn around things, and it's more professional now. It's more like you're saying that we're learning from you. There's more, electronic tools that have come in that has made this kind of creativity quite very easy. David, that's really fascinating to hear that the customer is involved in the process. So do you think having the customers involved in this process is beginning to change the mindsets of Ugandans, of Africans, that yes, we can make this ourselves, yes, we can make our own furniture, yes, we can make beautiful things, yes, we can turn around our living spaces, and to something that we enjoy to be in, that I can actually be creative and see my little room like this, and think about how this is going to be here, that's going to be there, and I walk to a carpenter and make this, become a reality. Do you think that is improving as the time goes, and where do you see us in the next, couple of years from now?
Well, it's really improving a lot. It has helped a lot. First of all, for the customers to set realistic goals, because as they discuss with the woodworkers, you get to exchange the impossibilities and the possibilities. See, I want this, but well, that kind of wood you want cannot achieve this particular goal. Yeah. So if you want that as an end result, you have to come into this type of wood. And then the advantages and differences and disadvantages of each type of wood. I'll give a live example. If you want a white item to be in color white, a piece of furniture to be in color white, it is more difficult to use a muvule piece of wood, because muvule is naturally yellow. So if you paint white on it, the yellow will always come out. Yes, so this kind of lessons to customers has made it more easy. And it has also helped the industry grow a lot. It is now more interactive, and interaction has always yielded good fruits, because in that way you get to know each other's challenges and work ways around them every time you're doing transactions with those people.
Okay, so I've seen there are people who come up with good ideas. They have an understanding of what they're looking for as a place, or as a wood, or as a furniture to have at home. And in most cases, they say, I want a black and green and yellow furniture at the same time. Do you always advise them, do you go to somebody's house and say, look, the kind of furniture you want, looking at the space you have and looking at the colors that you have in the house will clash, and maybe you'll have to have this? And do customers usually respond to it? Because I see also another side where people are so obsessed with the, spraying things and putting different colors. Natural things like the ones we have in the studio here is not very much, looked at as beauty, How do you deal with that? Do you advise them, or do they just come and say, I want the green table, give me a green table, and you give them? Like you said, Mvule is yellow. If you paint white, it's not going to come out very well. How do you go through that process of turning around the customers, crazy creative ideas into a beautiful idea?
Well, it depends on how much the customer invites you in.
Yes.
We have customers that will pack up and then say, please, can I steal you away for 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I want to show you something, and then you can advise me.
Okay.
Now, when you give me that kind of platform, I'm going to advise you without even considering how much money I make. Well, sometimes someone will come to you and then they're like, I want a Mugavu TV stand, but I want it wall mounted. But you see, a Mugavu TV stand is going to be extra kilograms.
Yes.
So
if you mount it on the wall and your wall is not strong, basically you're saying it will come down.
It is going to come down.
Yeah. So how do I help them achieve such
sometimes,
unrealistic goals?
Yeah, most of the time, you do advise them. Yeah. If you want to wall mount, you're going into you can go into something lighter. We have other lighter pieces of wood, and they look beautiful too. And we can tone them in different ways. Usually wood has a lot of its own tonation, but then when we are going to tone it artificially, we prefer the lighter varieties, the Musambias, the pine. Well, pine has been embraced very much because of the environmental impact of the other hardwoods. We have pine, we're reclaiming with cypress. But you do advise the customer very much, and if they really came into a custom shop and they knew where they were coming, they'll just try to modify their ideas based on your advice, and then you can come up with a consensus on what exactly is going to work for them. And then the other idea is the idea of people taking custom measurements. This is your house, so if you want a TV stand, from where to where do you want it to run? So I'll advise you.
Wow. Well, we're talking to David Onyango, who is the business development director of Oracle Furniture Limited, a company based in Uganda. Started by local Ugandans, very young people. As you can see David here, the people he leads are very young. Fascinating to see that, David, you are actually a law student into furniture. I mean, usually putting on a very good necktie and being, called land friend is more respectable to some people out there than being called a carpenter law student. I mean, how do you balance the two? Why the woodwork and the law,
Well, for me, I think I loved being able to create things every time. And when I went into law, I knew I had the power to create words, to change them and alter them, to determine new things, and do different things with my mouth, with how I speak and how I write. So I had one part of my creativity that I had not tampered with, and that is the physical, creating something I can actually see. That is why I decided to have the same combination. Funny story, when I finished with my A-level and I had a sponsor actually, and he engaged me on what the way forward was. I told him I have two options. See, I'm going into law school, or I'm going into carpentry school. He said, but well, those are not two options. That is one. You're going into law school.
Yes.
I said, okay. Yes. Then this is law school. So I went into law school, but the passion did not go away. So I brought myself back into carpentry personally after chasing after law, and I'm still chasing after it. And the carpentry has been able to pay for the expenses of law school in excesses. It pays, it maintains me, and it has given me a chance to show a lot of other young people like me that we can do this. Well, you may not have two options like me. You may have one, which is law. You may have one, which is woodwork. You don't have to stay into one. You don't fix into one. You can go into each of your options, or you can take them on as a bunch. The human brain has the ability to do both.
Wow. Well, we are talking to David Anderson Onyango, and this is a Creative Industry Talk where we discuss Ugandan local content specifically and directly, focused on, local content development on woodwork and specifically on Ugandan-made furniture. How do you find Ugandan-made furniture? We're going to be showing you some really good furnitures out there made by these guys in people's homes from their workshop. We want to make sure that everybody who is out there and is a creative mind, you know, find this platform quite a very interesting platform for them to be part of. And of course, creativity and coffee goes all together, David. So I'm gonna just, you know, make for you a French press as we take a break. You also take a moment to just make a French press for yourself. And we're gonna take a coffee break. And the Creative Industry Talk will be right back after this break.
Actually, my editor told me, Jeremy, there is no way you can call your book Man on Top.
Yes.
And I said, no, I'm actually going to call it Man on Top because I think I can sell it.
Yes.
Okay, I think I can sell it. And so the first task for me was to define Man on Top away from the definition it already has.
That we already know.
Yes. So for me, a man on top is a man that is faithful, dependable, and responsible. So I began a campaign about saying you're a man on top, you're faithful, you're responsible, you're productive. So every man has within them a desire to be those three things, to be faithful, to be productive, and to be responsible. So every person who thought they were faithful, responsible, and productive said to call themselves a man on top. You see, that was the idea in terms of the title. The cover really was purely about getting people to pick up the book, especially the ladies. I think it worked.
Young people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook. Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials. And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand. Remember Prince? Prince.
Welcome back to the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela and this is House of Talent Television. Of course, we're talking to David Anderson Onyango from Oracle Furniture Limited. You know, a Ugandan, authentic Ugandan outfit making furniture for people's beautiful homes, beautiful furniture, beautiful people. And you can go there and create your own. And he's earned himself the right to be on the Creative Industry Talk because some of the things in the studio where we're seated today is actually done by David and his people. The first time I met these guys, I went into their workshop, sat there and decided I have something I need them to do for us. And so I like to, you know, work with creative people, creative Ugandans, young people, whether young or old. I want to bring them together. I love to bring the best out of people. So I decided to give them the opportunity to be able to build a woodwork and to build a studio with me, and we did this together. David, welcome back to the program. And we want to talk about it. So this studio here is built by you guys. You know, the woodwork in this studio built by you guys. We gave you guys a recommendation and we've got a fantastic review coming back from Legal Hub that they're very happy with their studio. You were never traditionally doing studios. You didn't even do them. We open up the door for you. How does that make you feel like when somebody takes you away completely from making chairs and beds and, you know, the living, you know, room, you know, furniture to now building, you know, TV studios, radio studios and audio studios? How does that make you feel like?
Seriously, it is a very good experience. when I'll begin from your items here, the studio work. When we first produced them, everyone was stopping at the workshop. So what is this? Is this for decoration? So it was a totally new thing to us, to the viewers, to the people that pass by, other customers. We actually, before we got, after doing your studio work, before we got a second recommendation from you people, we did these items for a few other people. Others wanted them for decoration. Pastors wanted them in churches. I want it at the pulpit. I want this. And they didn't know why we were doing them, but they looked beautiful. It was even more fascinating for us who knew why we had done them in the first place. And they are used. So it is really, really great. And since we did decide to embrace custom woodworking as a trade, we are always comfortable with this. Someone can come in. We have a rule at my workplace with and me and my guys that even if you came in and told us you want a wooden Range Rover, we would ask for a year, but we would make it.
All right, and then of course, so you see the beautiful work here at House of Talent made by these guys. David, we want to dive into the last part of the show, which is about, you know, understanding the local content. We're talking about, you know, local content development in Uganda. Everybody's talking about it. The politicians are talking about it, but nobody actually really goes down to, you know, the deep end dive into the local content. Nobody puts their mind to know how does it work. Nobody wants to talk to a carpenter to see how a carpenter is doing it. Do carpentry people make sense? We have many carpentry shops around, or, you know, workshops around, but we don't give them opportunity to produce something beautiful. We want to be able to live by example, to say this is built by Ugandans, this is built by the local people. When I go to the US or to Europe or to America or to the UK or to Asia, you know, do it your way is the main thing. The skilling of people is done from that point, that I am able to build my furniture from home. I was talking to a friend of mine in Germany and he said, man, I built every furniture in my house myself. He left Uganda, he had no skill at all. Our education didn't teach him that. And when he got there, he said it's more expensive to bring a carpenter to build something for you than when you build it for yourself. But they're willing to come and teach you how to do it, and then you can do it by yourself. That I found that very fascinating. So a lot of us are talking about local content development, but we don't know. We're talking about build Uganda, buy Uganda, build Uganda. But the quality of what we're talking about, the quality of the production we're producing, the products we're producing to give, you know, to people is not worth, it cannot compete with the international, you know, or imported products coming into Uganda. What is your say in that regard, now that you have carved a niche in the market for you and your people, that we want to be people who bring out custom made? You have a crazy idea, bring the crazy idea to us, we will bring it to a reality.
Well, in my own point of view, and based on my experiences so far, in my time in woodwork, I think as Ugandans, we would be more, even right now, our pieces, the items, our ability to produce things, if we concentrate, is fascinating. It is something so great to see someone get out a stump of wood and then produce something extraordinary for you. You can do it while the person is sitting there. And that is very fascinating. So if we can produce this good with these little resources, then I think what we need is the push of resources. I'll take you to a part that is absurd, basically, about in woodwork. The prices of power tools for us, the tools we actually need to produce these high quality pieces of wood, of furniture is immense here. And when I have platforms where I engage with carpenters from different parts. I have a subscription from a woodworking site called America's Guild, Woodworkers of America's Guild. And when you look at these people talking about their drill press, their circular saws, table saws, routers, they talk about very little prices, even when converted into our own prices here. Someone buys a router saw at let's say 300,000. That is their price converted to ours. And here is a quality router, so that is durable, is supposed to be at least 1.5.
Yeah.
So that is really the greatest setback. Remember, carpentry is a very hard business to pitch, because it's always dependent on other people.
Yeah.
It is easy for you to pitch a business if someone can easily understand it.
Yeah.
But people don't understand the transition from wood to furniture. So it is hard to pitch, so you don't get people investing. And if you're willing to invest, then you may find yourself having capital to only buy 3 power tools, and they can't produce a piece of furniture. So I think that is our biggest challenge here. Otherwise, I've had a lot of foreigners coming in, even personally at my workshop, and then someone says, well, I didn't know we can have this kind of furniture here.
Yeah.
This is so good. I've seen young men that have gone as far as following up on the background of the trees they are going to use for furniture. So someone will give you a furniture piece and tell you that one was made from a tree that was 50 years old. And you know, these people have methods of measuring these things, the heights, and then they're going to prove it. It's 50 years old. And this is fascinating, how someone is able to explain a piece of furniture in their house back to the tree and how old it was. So this shows how our capability as Ugandan furniture creators, as young people. Actually, woodwork has been stormed by young people, and this is somehow a good thing, because you know how our brains work is. I would say personally, at our workshop, at Oracle Furniture, our oldest, our age gap is between 38 and 14. So we have people as young as 14 years, and our oldest person is 38. Okay. So you can see that we are between the range that is ready to risk, that is ready to experiment with new ideas, and to think outside the box. And that gives us an edge. And this is what, as Ugandans, not only in carpentry, but in any other trade, we are supposed to embrace. If someone is willing to risk, and they are positively sure that their risk is going to produce something great, you need to trust them a bit. You need to give them a bit of a gap to experiment.
So in other words, you're saying that we must be able to allow people room to express themselves.
Exactly.
And when they have something new, we should be able to give them opportunity and a platform for them to, you know, express themselves and to do it. David, let's go straight to your workplace. Earlier on when we started the show, you were talking about how you guys started and the motivations, you know, and how you walked through in the first place. I want to just put a few pictures up to actually show you that these guys, you know, talk about things that they are doing. That's right there. Is that you and David? And that's the workshop and how it all started?
Yeah, this is how we started.
Yes.
And actually this was our first big addition, the metal structure.
Yes.
After we started, we were in a tarpaulin, in a small tent, where when it rains we would cover ourselves with our working tools under the tarpaulin.
Okay, and yes, so is that the whole business creative idea starting there of the workshop itself?
Yes, now that is, we are creating our first structure of a house after hitting one big job, I think, and we are sitting down now. We have to begin looking at protecting our materials, but also creating something someone can look at.
Yeah, okay. And so when you are sitting with your young people and you're all coming with ideas, were your business ideas written down, or was it just there in people's heads that you sit down there and, you know, jazz about these things and make it a reality, or you actually wrote a proper business plan and said this is how we're going to do it? Again, there you are.
Well, I think the business plan is something we've written way deep into the business.
Yes.
That's when we decided, oh, this could become something greater. At first we got into this whole idea as people seeking to earn a living. Young people who cannot steal, we cannot do any of these immoral things. We've been brought up in a way that it's not a choice for us. So we have one choice, is to sweat. And we had one person who had the audacity to know who had gotten time to learn this. So he was like, yeah, we can. He knew how to make these things. He didn't know any other thing.
That's all he knows.
He knew how to make these things.
So did he grow up in the Jesus' time because Jesus was born a carpenter, or what happened?
Actually, he ran into he took on apprenticeship.
Yeah.
We were younger. That is our elder brother.
Yeah.
Actually, we are a partnership of 3 brothers in the workshop, and each has a specific skill.
Okay.
But the biggest was the skilled man.
Okay.
So first of all, he comes in, we respect him, and we've seen some of his works. After learning, he did a few things for family members. The feedback was good.
Okay.
But now, it was now a new era coming in,
Yeah.
online marketing,
Yes,
social
yeah.
media. See, but I told him, but we can get some few customers from
Yes.
online, I
Yes.
think. He said, well, if you can, I am here to work.
Yes.
I got him one. I remember my first online customer was a doctor from Novik. I posted a small, it was was it a wardrobe?
Yeah.
On Facebook, and he liked it. He said, can I order? I said, you can definitely order. And
Yes,
I really
yes,
welcomed
yes.
him. I loved it.
Yes, yes.
I remember myself pacing to Novik and back to Novik and back, showing him the processes. And then I told Ronnie, this is our first deal. And
Go on.
and when we produced his wardrobe,
Yes.
he was very happy.
Yeah.
He was very happy. We never got any other customer from him, not a recommendation.
Yes.
But it was enough push for us to know that now the market is not from someone who can see you.
Yes.
Especially since we were working from home.
Yes.
So we went online,
Yes.
and that's where we started.
Okay.
Yeah, we started from there.
Well, David, I want to read a couple of comments from here. Somebody saying, Eddie Okila, thank you very much for bringing that gentleman on the show. I'm very interesting, and this is fascinating to see young people actually involve themselves in making, furnitures that are very, that can compete with some international product. I have a problem of quality. Most Ugandan carpentry people or people in carpentry business usually don't pay attention to details, and the quality is always wanting. Can you ask David, how are they doing it? Have they improved? Well, I think that we can ask David by putting some of the pictures up. We can see, let's put up some of the pictures from Arc Furniture up there so that people can see. So right there, let's talk to this. David, the process of making this chair, somebody's asking if you now improve attention to details. Yes. I guess it's talking about the cushions and the stuff like that, the fitting and stuff like that. Do you have other people who do this work?
Exactly. One thing that is tying the furniture industry back is the fact that you find one person wanting to do everything.
Yeah.
So you always need that person that can cite who can do what best and let everyone specialize. Furniture is a very, very broad. It's a broad spectrum of work.
Yes.
So you cannot do it all well.
Actually, hold it there. So that right there, that was my table. So I walked to these guys and I gave them a huge challenge, and I said, I want you guys to make a 6-seater dining table for my house. And they made that table. I remember that table was rejected and it caused some serious problems. David, so how did you ever improve this table? Because the chairs are there, but the table, we didn't like them. Because of you guys became too creative in putting the lines which I didn't want and stuff like that. That's another problem. Perhaps the other gentleman is talking about. How do you, make sure you understand the client beyond just what they have told you and your creativity?
Well, I think particularly from that particular job,
Yes.
we were now trying to experiment with people who are more attentive to detail.
Yes.
People who actually know their furniture.
So was he a difficult client?
You were difficult at that time, but
Yes.
but I think you were difficult. But then every challenge comes with it a step for you to step higher.
Yes.
So from there on, I knew if you're ordering a table, and I think I did it on the second one.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
What don't you want?
Okay.
Can I add this? Can I add this? Can I add this?
Yeah.
So
there you have it. The table was changed. Is now right there. Isn't that beautiful, people? Do you have a furniture? So that's a table in my house done by these guys and looks beautiful. Let's check the next picture and see. we did the chairs, and somehow it was, yeah, right there. So how does this make you feel when you've finished and delivered something like this to somebody's home? Of course, I have issues with the cushions, which is the person was asking, the attention to details. The one who did the cushion wasn't. So yeah, that's my house. I like to make sure that you know, my things are done by Ugandans. So that's not an imported wood, just so you know. It's a wood created by these guys, and you can go into their workshop and give them business. Let's see another picture. And that it look like, yeah, right there. So they had improved the attention to details, as you can see, you know. And I went for something called ironwood. You want to explain what ironwood is? I gave them some bloody nose, as they call it in Uganda. It was a difficult thing for them to. Yes, David, pick it up from there. Yes.
Well, ironwood, actually, I think among all our customers,
yes,
Eddie, you are the only person that has ironwood.
Yeah.
And even if you move this country again,
yes, yes,
maybe you would find someone else from Sudan.
Yes.
This is ironwood particularly. This is a wood type from Sudan, from Central Sudan,
yeah,
from the Central Sudan forests, mostly.
Yeah.
It is a very hard piece of wood. It is too hard that even working it, you need to know it. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly worked by people from the north because they have access from it.
Yes.
To eat, so they've gotten time to experiment with it.
Yeah.
In the central here, it is very hard because even the materials we have here, like the wood glue and everything, will not work with it. We actually had to order a specific amount of a specific type of glue called, well, I'm forgetting the name. Pono glue from Kenya,
yeah,
to work with your pieces, because every other type of wood we had here kept rejecting. Every other type of glue kept rejecting the piece of wood. It would again split. But it was a nice experience working with the ironwood,
yes,
and it
yes,
is very beautiful. It's very grainous. It is really a rich type of wood.
Yeah.
It supplements mugavu, which is the most grainiest wood we have here, locally growing here in Uganda. But ironwood was a new experience for me.
Yes.
And when I recommend it to customers, well, I recommend them.
You must have an exquisite taste to certain things. The first time I interacted with that wood, I was out of Uganda, and I found out that some of the furniture in White House in the US is made by some of the finest woodwork from, you know, Sudan and, you know, this place is called Congo. And you too can actually make sure you get something that you love and you can be part of. And I want to stretch this point to so many people out there that when you dream of having a furniture in your house, you need to be able to put that picture up again so I can explain it to people, you know, something that people don't understand. When you have a dream, we all dream of something cool and beautiful that we want to have. And you can set up the target and take your time, but you must find people who are able to do it. That type of wood is what is used in White House. If you look at the White House and, you know, many of these state house, you know, particularly in Europe, they have some very exquisite taste for wood. I mean, President Putin, for example, his wood in his in the state house, if we call it, or you know, the Russia house, whatever we call it, is such an amazing taste of wood. Now, it's created by a carpenter. So when I walked out there and I interacted with some of these things, one time I was in you know, in Dominican Republic, and I went to a house, one of those training I do, and I saw some certain type of wood. That's when I interacted with some of the most beautiful wood, and I said, one day we will have this. So yes, it's something that I want people to understand, that you can have your own dream, and your dream can be brought to a reality, and your dream can live. So it's not just any type of wood. David can tell you, the first time I gave it to them, it was very difficult to deal with. And I wanted to share that experience. Was I a crazy customer to you guys when we first started?
Well, unfortunately, I will say yes.
Yes.
Because when you talked about, well, I want ironwood, I went to the procurement guy and told him, you know what, Ronnie, that is my big brother, by the way.
Yes.
We need ironwood.
Yes.
I said, what is that? I said, no, there is ironwood. So he goes to to Industrial where we purchased this wood. He tried to call every wood person he knows, asking for ironwood, and they told him, unless you're looking for ebony, which you're also not going to get, there's nothing like ironwood. I said, but no. I went online, I gave him pictures of ironwood. So now he goes with a picture, I want this type of wood. And it was lucky for us, that lucky for Eddie too, that we came across someone who had a full warehouse of ironwood.
You could tell him the story of how long that wood has been there.
He had a full warehouse of ironwood. This was a foreigner. This guy was Indian. I don't know if the warehouse had been captured in the 76 war that took off Amin.
Yes.
Then it had been kept locked for all this time. And this wood had been purchased with the intention of using it to make lorry bottoms.
Yes.
That is the wood that you find in the lorry bottoms.
Yeah.
Because it even if you dipped it in water for a year, it will not react. It will not break. It will not dissolve. It won't even lose color. So that was ironwood. We find a full warehouse of ironwood and mahogany, and Ronnie says, well, there's a warehouse here. I said, let's go and look at it. And when I first had this, the wood had of course withered a bit, that you could not identify it from the top. I told him, no, let's go with our plane and let's plane one piece. And the beauty of it was excess. Actually, I think besides Eddie, I too have ironwood in my house.
Yes.
Because it was superb. It was something good. We first of all bought a section of the wood in the warehouse, but we ended up buying everything.
Yeah.
We bought everything. We had a sales agreement with this guy, and I told him, if you sell one piece, you're going to court.
And 90% of that wood is at House of Talent.
Exactly.
So again, I want to just make everybody understand that it is possible. We're talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. Just put it up there. We're talking about Ugandan-made furniture. Can you make it possible? Can Ugandans do it? So when we're talking about local content development, focusing on Ugandan-made furniture in this particular show today, we want you to know that buy from these guys, go to these guys and give them opportunity. These guys on Facebook, write to them, give them an order, and they'll be able to produce something very good for you. A lot of us are talking about these things. If you're a carpenter out there, send us a message, show us what you're having, and we'll definitely be able to bring this to you. IKEA has or makes the best type of woods and creativity in the whole world. All of us dream of buying IKEA, but do we have the money to buy IKEA? Do our earnings take us there? Can we reach there? If not, then it's something that we need to be able to think about the alternative, and these guys do much better job. David, we've got to bring this show to a close. Let's go back to your workshop and finalize some of the take us through the process of creativity that some of these furniture go through, so that somebody who is looking for what's that. For example, I see you fitting in a house. So do you custom made fitting? When you're talking about custom made fitting in a house, is that a new house?
Yes, that is a new house. We were on site in Imbarara. One of our customers, from a recommendation, he's a Kano,
Okay.
Kano Baguma.
Okay.
I'll mention. So he gave us his whole house to furnish it. We first of all did his door work, door frames and everything. We shut the house. Then he said, I want now items. We have an album.
That's the door woodwork you're talking about?
Yes. Those were some of his doors. So we first of all have an album. We give you options. Then you pick your options, and then we produce what you choose.
Okay.
You can even alter some of these options. I want this, but we are going to change this to this. So when we create this for you, then we come on site and fit it ourselves, because the fitting determines everything. If it's even if it's good and the fitting is wrong, it won't come out.
Okay, let's check on the next picture up there. The next picture, if you put the next picture up there, you were attempting to make, this was your first creation. Okay, let's talk about this. That's David Anderson Onyango up there, So what was the story behind this desk? We see this thing on Pinterest. We don't know how it is made, but you guys are making up a table,
So that was our first attempt at a picnic, a folding picnic table.
Yes.
We get this customer, guy is Indian.
That guy right there is a law student. who is into carpenter. Continue.
Guy is Indian. He says, I want a picnic table that folds. He sent us a video from Pinterest, of course.
Yes.
So he's like, but you people can't make this. I know. You just make one that is static. So I told him, if I make this and it folds, we are doubling the cost. He says, well, as long as it does what I want, I'm going to pay. So the initial cost was supposed to be 800,000 for one that doesn't fold. So he's like, oh, I told him it won't be 1.6. It will become 2 point something. He says, as long as I get this thing and it folds. He has a smaller compound, but he wants to be able to expand it when he has more guests. And you know, people host a lot of people over the weekends.
So why don't you make House of Talent a gift of that, you know, table? We want to see if you can make another one. You made one table. Put that picture up again and we see that video. If we can task Onyango to actually make this with these people and make one more table. Put it up right there. Let's see.
Well, that is me checking it out.
Yes. How long ago has this been?
Well, that was, I think, 4 months back.
Okay. And it is still working?
Perfectly.
So why don't you make this for House of Talent? We want one just to give us a sample and we see if you can use it here and see if you can recreate the same thing you have done before.
Well, the first agreement will be if you don't want it in ironwood. Because that will be the only issue. Otherwise, it is something very easy and it's something nice. And I would love so much to showcase it. Because this is something new. You don't find it everywhere.
Okay, next furniture. Let's see if we can run through this quickly, and we want to know whether you too can make an order with these guys. Please visit them up. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. What's that?
That's a chest of drawer. It's a 5-drawer chest. But that was made for a customer who had purchased a baby coat from one of the big shops, but it didn't come with a chest of drawer. So he's like,
because he couldn't afford that one. I know it's very expensive when you go from there.
So he says, come around, see my bed and produce something.
Okay, so next, let's look at the other pictures. Okay, so that's the bed right there.
That's a mahogany bed. It's totally hardwood. It is all mahogany. It was made for one of our customers that is also a staunch wood fan like you, natural wood, no paint. It simply varnished to coat it, but it is no paint. All that is natural color.
Okay, next. This is the inside fitting.
Yes. Now these are fitted wardrobes, the ones that are unmovable. This was also on site in Kabale for one of our customers.
Wow. All right, next.
That is a two-seater dining set. Very rare. People don't usually order such things because, but that is me testing it out to make sure you won't fall. It was a mahogany. It was fully mahogany, ordered by one of our good customers. And
let's look at this. So this is right in your workshop.
Yes.
So how do we make sure that the cushions up there actually fit better? Because the downer one is fitting very well, but the upper one is fitting. And I met a friend of mine who said that we need to be able to use high density foam to be able to make sure that the seats are much more comfortable and stuff like that. Are you guys going into that? Are you partnering with people who are making this? Who makes the cushions? Do they understand? Do they measure it on? What's the process like as we close the show?
Well, we always advise customers that we are embracing the high density mattresses, and so our prices have become a little more competitive because when you're going into high density, the costs are higher. But we do give these options to our customers, and we actually refrain from making lower qualities because well, sometimes you don't want someone talking bad about you, because when that customer can't explain that they ordered at a low price, it's a chair that's going to talk. And if he's talking a bad language, it's bad for you already.
All right, well, we've been talking to David Onyango and we've brought the show to the close. David, thank you very much for coming to the program. What's your last word to a customer who is watching you, to somebody who's watching you, and to a carpenter who has never got an opportunity to be where you are today? What would you say to them, and what would you say to most Ugandans about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda?
I'll begin with the carpenters.
Yes.
People want to support you. Give them their quality. Give them the quality that they deserve. Charge them the money, but give them the quality. Because one thing I've learned in my experience is that people know good things and they are willing to pay for them. So you don't have to alter the quality just because you're pulling a price down. Make the quality fit the price, and then the right people will buy it. My advice to customers is that there are a lot of shady people in the carpentry business, but the good people are there too. So find them and they will give you what you deserve. Not only me, there are a lot of other people that are doing woodwork and they're doing it well. We at Arc Furniture, we shall be ready to serve you. My team is there. We have manager Ronnie, he's the productions manager. When you come to Arc Furniture, you're going to find him there grinding these machines one by one, making sure items are coming out. And my whole team is there. We have manager Junior. He's the general manager running the whole place. Usually you find him up in front, and he's a finishing man. You always find him criticizing the surface of an item, critically checking it out, but he's there at the job. And we have a lot of other workers, Gideon, a lot of them. I'll mention names, I will not, but they are all there and they're dedicated to produce the quality that we have set for ourselves. And our pace is still on the run up. And my advice to everyone else that is doing production, their creativity is that creativity alone is not enough until you monetize it, because at the end of the day, even if you have a passion for it, the money is what matters. You cannot push forward without money. You cannot develop it without the money. You cannot expand it and actually feel proud of it after 5 years if it has not given you anything. So go and see how you can monetize that creative work that you're doing. If you are an artist, if you are a woodworker, whatever you do that is part of creativity, do monetize it. Give it, go and do research, read the books, there's general knowledge that will apply in your business, and then you can consult. I mean, to those of other people that have seen enough of woodwork and of those professions that you're working in, are always free to share. If anyone is gluttonous with their knowledge and they don't share it, then they're not the right person for the job. These are people who know their crafts are always willing, because they know they're also growing. You can never outgrow them. They didn't stop. Yeah. So go and ask that person, come to Arc Furniture, to Oracle Furniture, we are there. I'll take you through my business because I don't care. I am running on a high speed up. You will never catch me. Or if you try, I'll love the competition.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. Creative Industry has come to the end of the show. We want to say thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me. We're looking forward to bring you another great show next week, same time, same place, right here on House of Talent Television. It's a wrap from us here and from us and the crew, all behind the camera, and the guys who make everything look beautiful, the guys who bring you the beautiful pictures and make sure that this production reaches you. We want to say a shout out to all of you guys, and until then, Creative Industry has come to an end. Stay blessed and stay creating. Tell a neighbor and share it far and wide. Radio Killer, David Anderson Onyango, signing out. It is a creative industry talk. My name is Eddie Okela and this is House of Talent Television. Welcome to the program. This week on the program, we bring you the story of those who are doing it in Uganda. And of course, we are always talking about local content development by Uganda, Build Uganda. Do we really understand what this means? Do we know what local content development means? Everyone is talking about it. And today on the program, we decided to focus mainly on the woodwork in Uganda. You know, the creative industry talk is talking about, you know, furniture building in Uganda. Do you buy Ugandan furniture? Do you have a Ugandan furniture in your building? Or are you all the way flying to China and to all these other places to have furniture from there? Yet you have people who are doing this woodwork in Uganda. On the program today, we focused their story and of course the interview to the young men who I found around the streets of Kampala. One day I was driving and I was looking for Ugandan furniture, and so I used to drive on the same road over and over, and I see this place and there's a couple of young people just doing their stuff, you know, crazy ideas and, you know, things put around the place, and I decided to give them a visit. It started raining, so I stood there for a couple of hours watching and seeing what was going on while I wait for a table to come to my office. And indeed, they made a table. So what I was looking for was, do they really understand what they're doing? Do they understand the art, you know, behind the creativity that they're actually, you know, involved in? And along the way, I realized that they just simply need, you know, somebody to believe in them. So we decided to bring them onto the program today so that we can enjoy the creative minds and the creative people of Uganda in the woodwork in Uganda, in the furniture business in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, all across the world, welcome you all to the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, my guest today is a man from the eastern part of Uganda. David Anderson Onyango was one of the people leading that particular business, you know, on that particular street in Kampala, Uganda, to the furniture business and supply in Kampala. David, welcome to the program. How are you doing? Here we spread the love. When you do this, you must spread the love. So you have to spread the love, yes. Welcome to the program, and I'm going to take off my glasses so that the creativity can start. First of all, we want to start from a very lighter note. Who is David Onyango?
Well, I am David Onyango Anderson. As you said, from the east, but born and raised of Kampala.
Okay.
I've roamed the streets of Kampala. I've seen my childhood through Kampala, my best and worst. And I am now a woodworker, a law student, and a mental health worker, all in one person.
Yes. So when you say you're not a woodworker and a mental health worker, but first we want to take you growing up. Who was David growing up? What did you want to be in life? What were you looking for in life growing up?
Well, growing up, I went to school in Chitante, right here. I was a very argumentative person. So I think law was always the option for me. But I was interested in art as an option, as a main part of my life. I was interested in creating beautiful things because I saw beauty in the things I saw most of the times. So I think that explains my choices in both law, which is something I'm passionate about, and woodworking, which gives me the chance to create art physically and see it.
Okay. So we want to just, you know, get straight to this interview and just try to sort of like know you from a certain, you know, angle and with a certain lens. When you were growing up, did you ever make those wired cars, things we used to use when we were learning how to drive, making those things, you know, were you that creative when you were growing up?
I was, actually.
What is the memorable thing that you think you created when you're growing up that when you look back today, you can say it all started from here?
I think it was around 2002. I created my first tipper with actually the ability to tip its content. All in the streets of Mulago, and it had lights, it had the tipping pad.
Yes.
I refused to sell it off. I would sell a lot of items, but I kept that one for myself because
Wow.
I think it was the beginning of it.
Yes. Now, talking of that, did your father or your mother ever see you as a creative person?
Well, I grew up with my mother for most of the time, and as you know, life in Kampala, you don't really get time to be with your parents.
Yeah.
A lot of the times because they're always pulling ends together. But I think, I don't know if she saw it, but she gave us the freedom to explore.
Yeah.
She did not control us a lot.
Okay.
She controlled our behaviors, but she gave us the freedom to do our own things that were within her rating of moral and fine. So we had that chance. We could do this, as you said, small wire cars and sell them off, and she would let us use our money for our things. And I think that pushed us forward to know that, well, if you create something good, then you can get money from it. And I think the greatest motivation is always money at the end of the day.
You speak with the word plural, which means us. Who are we? Us referring to who? How many are you in the family, and are you the firstborn or the lastborn?
I am the second lastborn.
Yeah.
We are in a family of 4 children.
Yeah.
I have a bigger brother, I think, who comes up more in the plural form. I have a sister who is a graphic designer. Still, I think art is in the family in a way.
Yes.
And my big brother was the inspiration into woodwork at the main part, because there's a bigger age gap, so he went into the business before me.
Yeah.
And he pulled me into it. But even in the start, I mean, he inspired me a lot.
Okay. I'm talking of that, we are talking to David Onyango here. We're talking about woodwork. This entire interview today on the Creative Industry Talk, we're talking about furniture in Kampala, furniture in Uganda, furniture in Africa. Do Africans buy their own furniture? Do we buy things made from our own people? Do we sit in things made by our own people? Today's topic is looking at the local content development, focusing on Ugandan-made furniture. And of course, we have David Anderson Onyango from he's the business development director at, formerly it's called Arc Furniture,
yes,
but now it's called Chronicle Furniture. I learned this morning. Oracle Furniture, I learned this morning. And it's a new business. They are situated on Bukoto Kisasi Road. And these guys do amazing stuff. So we brought them on the show today so that you can actually understand that there are some simple Ugandans creating local content that are good for our businesses. David, we want to go back to this interview and start this interview from a very interesting point. So let's talk about woodwork. Furniture, Ugandan-made furniture. What is your definition of a Ugandan-made furniture?
Well, my definition of Ugandan-made furniture has expanded a bit the deeper I went into the industry. Initially, Ugandan-made furniture was woodwork. It had to be woodwork. But the creative minds that we are, Ugandans, we've expanded. We've expanded into the medium density fiber boards, that is MDF ordinarily. We've expanded into reclaimed wood furniture, where we have the pallet furniture. So it has really grown. But to me, the definition would be that it's a piece made by a Ugandan in Uganda, and with our own creativity here, because we have a different scope of creativity from everyone else.
All right, very good. And what is your understanding of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda? We are always talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. What is your understanding of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, Bobo?
Well, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, I think this is what employs us as Ugandans to come back to develop and support our own pieces of furniture here, our own items here, made by our creativity and our materials. And it pulls us back to understand that we are going to receive furniture that has been made based on our ability as Ugandans, but feel proud of it because it is made here by our own and from our own materials.
Talking of that, David, most times we think that, when we're looking to buy a bed, I go to Nina Interiors of this world, I go to big time furniture shops to get a bed. But also there are these guys on the roadside for low cost housing conditions, furniture where people usually just go to, you know, buy their bed for at that area. But we tend to think about validation and the point of buying furniture from the sense that I want imported furniture. That is when I feel that I have spent my money right. Having started this business, what motivated you to move towards it, and why? Why yet the odds against you are quite too, you know, straight that I will go to Mina Interior to buy furniture from, or I will go to slightly, you know, moderate, you know, place to buy furniture from there because I want to, you know, there's this notion that a Ugandan made furniture is not good.
Well, my main motivation was and still is the fact that when I look at the furniture from the what you call the high class sell places, I don't see any difference. They actually work a lot on budget. So our local furniture, our local carpenters here do produce items, let's say a bed, using the same materials, the same quantity of wood and even more, and waste it. But because they demand so less from themselves, they keep it at a given rate of quality. They didn't seek to compete with they had actually quoted themselves as the lower end and gotten satisfied with that.
All right, you guys are coming in to sort of like redefine the thinking that has always been there of we can make the Ugandan wood look good, and you know, a person can be more prouder to, you know, buy from Uganda and even custom make something to their taste. How has that journey been like, and how are Ugandans responding to that creativity?
Initially, it was hard, really hard, because most of these people, when they get their money, they want to go and buy this piece. I mean, buy it, take it home, and then they're done with that purchase. And sometimes due to less capital, the manpower, you need the time to actually create this. So first of all, you demand something which is very rare from someone, and that is first of all trust and time. And these are very valuable at the same time. So it's really been a challenging journey, trying to get people to trust you and then give you the time.
Okay, so having gotten people to trust you and get to this level, let's talk about your first customer when you started. The very first day you guys walked out to start something. What did you create for a customer? Did you create for yourself? How did you start?
Initially, we actually worked from our own home. So we depended on our own contacts. We began with friends. First with family, then friends. Then my own realization was that the recommendations are better at the end of the day. So we began getting the recommendations. Until, well, it became a bit hard to invite someone to your home to show them furniture. So you had to now think of a location. And that is how the journey started. And the trust came from people who knew us, because they knew we had something to lose more than money itself. And then the other strangers that trusted us because they trusted someone else. Until we've reached at an extent where we are able to at least now attract trust without a middle person and without prior knowledge of the person. Okay.
David, just before we go for a break, would you quantify and qualify that as being, that very last part of it says, as being, you know, attributed to the fact that when you did something, the person you made for felt happy and felt like, I can recommend these people? Or how did you get to that point of building trust? Because trust in the foundation of business, you know, globally, economy is built on trust. I trust you, I give you business, I trust that you take my creative thinking and turn it into a reality, and you give me this furniture that when I sit in, if it's a chair, I feel good. If it's a table, I feel nice to sit and take my cup of coffee or eat food. If it is bed, when I go to sleep, I feel comfortable that this is something I thought about how I wanted the bed to be like, and I went to David with my creativity, and he turned around my creativity into a reality.
Well, definitely, it is because we've been able to pay back these people's consideration, the customers' consideration, exactly the way they give it back. Take for example, when you, most of the times, first of all, when someone trusts you and then they give you the time, so one thing they don't want is an excuse. So you keep it out of the equation. And then there's also the ability to own up to a mistake, because you can't eradicate them. But every time you own up to a mistake, it gives you the relationship between the customer and the maker and the seller sort of a new fresh page to begin from, because it is not something everyone does.
Okay. We're talking to David Anderson Onyango from the Oracle Furniture, Limited, straight out of Kampala from the Bukoto, Kisasi Road, and these guys do amazing stuff. You need to check them out. They're on the Creative Industry Talk. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, the interview with David will continue while we dive into the whole point of creativity. What is creativity by his understanding? And does what he